So now that the Steel Path has been out for about 2 weeks, I think, thereabouts, let's have a look at what's good about the Steel Path, what's not so good about the Steel Path, and what I reckon D should do to improve the game mode. So let's get into it. So let's start off with the good stuff, and probably the first and big thing that I really like about the Steel Path is that MOT is really exciting, at least for the first half an hour. Still can't really stay awake after an hour, but you know, at least it's starting off really strong. So what I really like about it is that I don't have to wait for 2 hours before I go up against level 100 enemies. What I like about it is that the enemy spawn rates for pretty much every single mission within the Steel Path is absolutely insane. I really like the fact that I actually need to have some level of skill and actually think about what I'm doing when I'm playing the Steel Path, so that's really good. So basically, the entire game mode is just so much fun when I'm going up against that many enemies that are that semi-difficult to kill. The next thing I like about it is that I do have a genuine need to reassess my playstyle. So for example, I used to avoid using energy restores like a plague because I feel like they're just a crutch. Because energy restores have a usage limit of 1 per minute, I'm not feeling as guilty as using them now, and I actually use them now, so that's really good. Just actually like changing my mindset to actually use the resources that I actually have on me in the form of the gear that I actually built. That seems to be a really good thing. Also, I guess for a lot of people this is going to change the way they build their weapons, because it looks like status-based weapons are going to be significantly better than crit-based weapons. For example, Dex Pixiers, which are status-based exalted weapons, are seemingly doing a lot better than Peacemakers, being crit-based exalted weapons. Of course, I have put more Formal on my Titania Prime than I have on my Mesa Prime, so perhaps my experience is a lot more skewed towards my Dex Pixiers, but that seems to be the general consensus at this particular moment in time, that Peacemakers are not particularly good. So if you're a Mesa person and you are doing really well with your Peacemakers, then let me know in the comments how you're going with them. Awesome. And finally, I guess the main thing that I really like is that it is overall a veteran's battlefield, in the sense that you kind of need to be at least somewhat good, I guess, at the game in order to actually handle these missions. Nowadays, with the Steel Path enemies, they don't get one-shotted, so that means you're going to have to think a little bit further ahead than just like using one bullet or using one arrow or using one sniper rifle bullet or using one blast of a shotgun. You need to think a little bit further ahead to, oh crap, they actually survived that. What do I do now? Do I now strip their armor? Do I now put them into a form of stasis? Do I now put them into a form of crowd control? What do you do after that first bullet? You're going to have to think a little bit further ahead. So that is all really good stuff. Basically, what's great about the Steel Path is the general gameplay experience within Steel Path missions. But what's not so good about it, and what I think needs to improve with the Steel Path, is specifically the stuff around it. So, first thing, of course, is Teshin's shop. Now, I personally don't like the fact that Teshin's shop is using yet another currency. A friend of mine has complained to me about this quite a lot, and these days I'm actually seeing what he is saying. Basically, we have an inundation of resources that we are simply not using. How much salvage do you have? How much alloy plate do you have? How many of the random Cetus resources do you have? The stuff that you had to mine, the stuff that you had to fish. How much of that do you have? How many things from Fortuna do you have? Now, if you've actually completed all of the stuff that you need from Cetus, and if you've already completed the stuff that you need from Fortuna, that is the point of what I am talking about right now. You may very well be inundated with things like Hardness. You may be inundated with things like Radiant Centurium. Problem is that we have so many of these resources, but here we are in this shop that requires a specific currency. I would actually rather that Teshin's shop requires a gigantic amount of resources that you can get from other places. We keep talking about content islands, and yet here we have, again, theoretically, another sort of content island because it requires its own specific currency. I don't think that's a good idea. I think DE should actually just change the resource requirements for everything to include things from all over the place as part of buying the damn thing. And meanwhile, while Teshin still uses Steel Essence, I feel like the Steel Essence drop rate is really low. And this is me saying this, someone who has been doing Scar Spear and had no problem with the Scar Spear drop rate. I'm finding the Steel Essence drop rate to be quite low. So I did do a 1 hour MOT run on stream, and I got a grand total of 6 Steel Essence out of that. Yeah, that's kind of low. Some people are apparently doing hour-long full-on farms and they're only getting like a lot more, I guess, and that's full-on farms. I didn't do a full-on farm, so I guess I got a lot lower, but that's kind of low if you ask me. I'm not really seeing a faster way to farm steel assets outside of using the specific farming warframes, you know, Necros, Hydroid, Korra. Outside of them, not really seeing a faster way to do it, and that's a little bit weird. So I kind of think that the steel essence drop rate needs to be increased a bit, not necessarily doubled. Actually, doubling it was probably a good idea. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Let's also talk a little bit about pets and Moas and sentinels and stuff. Now, sentinels are not really falling into this category too hard because they do have extra lives, but pets and Moas, I find them to be particularly useless in the Steel Path. They actually die on a nearly constant basis, and that kind of means that they're not all that useful. So I don't think that pets and Moas are in a particularly good spot. Obviously, this demonstrates a desperate need for Pets 2.0 to come out. A control scheme is absolutely 100% necessary, I think. Alternatively, I would probably make an argument to say that pets should just be invulnerable. Now, not invulnerable as in let them tank everything. Invulnerable in the sense that Atreus in God of War is practically invulnerable because nobody attacks him. And the AI don't really attack him. The AI should instead focus all of their fire on you. The only pet that I would probably say doesn't need to be invulnerable at all is, of course, Venari, because Venari is part of Korra's kit, and Korra can just bring her back at any given point in time. That is okay. But the other pets, your cats, your Kavats, your Kubros, your Moas, I reckon they need to be invulnerable 100%. Because then you can just use them as straight up utility extras instead of sentinels if you want. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that particular idea in the comments. Do you reckon that's probably a little bit overpowered? Do you reckon that's probably making things too easy? Let me know in the comments. And of course, finally, the big thing that I don't like about the Steel Path is that it doesn't affect Railjack. God damn it, DE. I want my goddamn normal Railjack back. Damn it. Now, when we have the Steel Path Railjack happening, when Railjack enemies are level 100 plus, where they potentially have a lot more armor and a lot more shields, I mean, we'll just see what they go with. They might go for the Arcwing route and give everyone plus 50 levels instead of plus 100. But either way, I believe when Steel Path Railjack comes out, that is when Commander intrinsics are going to actually mean something. Because right now in Railjack, it's so easy that, you know, you don't really need Commander intrinsics to do everything by yourself. I suppose with the missions that actually have some form of objective, you might want to use Commander intrinsics just so that someone is piloting your ship, assuming that the Commander intrinsics includes AI to pilot your ship for you. But outside of that, like, I don't really see much of a point of using Commander intrinsics at this particular moment in time. When we go up against higher level enemies, yes, Commander intrinsics is going to be really damn cool. So that's pretty much what I think about the Steel Path experience at this particular moment in time. The gameplay is great, the experience is great, but the rewards in terms of Teshin's shop is a little bit shit, and Pets and Moas could really use a tweak. So let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. What do you think about the Steel Path at this particular moment in time? Are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? Do you reckon the shop is a bit crap? Do you reckon the overall reward structure at this particular moment in time is good or not? Keep in mind that every single mission does have a resource drop chance booster attached to it, and there's also a mod drop chance booster as well, so you are getting a lot of loot per se in the form of resources and mods. But whether or not you're getting enough to deal with the fact that you're dealing with a lot of really hardcore enemies, I'm not entirely sure. But otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more WarFrame content, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.